Hello, my strange and charmed ones. Welcome back to my channel for another installment of my Plan with an Entrepreneur series. I know it's been, I feel like a couple of weeks since I've done like a Plan with an Entrepreneur video where we sit down and we pull out our planners and we actually sit and get to work making some plans for the upcoming week. If you're not familiar with this series, generally every Sunday I post a Plan with Me style video like this, which basically gives you guys an opportunity to literally sit down in front of the computer with your planners, sitting kind of with me, like we're kind of having our own little planning session, and plan out the important items for our week, whether it be our meals, our events, our tasks. That's basically what this series is all about. So if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, head on over to my channel and check out, I actually have a whole playlist for my Plan with an Entrepreneur series. So you guys can go through and see the past episodes in this installment and hopefully get some new tips and tricks for planning and making the most out of your own planners. But for today, I wanted to instead of doing like a planning style video where you kind of sit and watch me plan, I wanted to instead do a video where I share some really great tips and tricks for how to be more efficient. So a lot of people ask me about how to get more efficient. I get questions on this a lot. I know that a lot of you guys, know that I'm really into productivity and technology and basically anything that helps us get our work done quicker so that we are spending less time working and spending more time doing the things we love. For most of us, those things are like activities, our family, our friends, going out, traveling, exploring the world, just being a member of the greater community around us. Nobody wants to be chained to a desk 24/7 working. So this is why I really think that productivity and efficiency are so important. Many of us, I think, are probably spending way too much time on our work. So ask yourself, have you ever felt like you were sitting there doing your work, whether it was work for home or work for a job that you might go to, or even work for like a volunteer organization? Have you ever actually been sitting there thinking, geez, this is taking so long. There has to be a better way for me to organize my tasks and really to up my productivity game so that I can get more done in less time? If that sounds like you, if you've ever had that question, today's video is for you. I'm going to give you guys 5 really easy tips. These are my 5 top tips for how to be more efficient, no matter what sort of work you're doing. So let's go ahead and jump on into the tips. My first tip for being more efficient is to remove items from your plate. Now, what I mean by that is literally cross things off your to-do list that you do not want to do or just feel like aren't going to be the best use of your time. A lot of us suffer from this idea of time famine, right? Where we don't have enough time and we see that we're looking at the things that we're doing and thinking, why am I even doing some of these things? If you ever feel that way about your tasks, maybe you have tasks that you dread to do, or maybe you have tasks that you think that you could delegate to someone else, maybe a coworker or maybe a family member or a friend, whatever the situation is. There are items that are on our plates that don't belong there, right? There are items on our to-do list that need to be wiped away. So the first tip to productivity and efficiency is removing those items. Just saying, I acknowledge I'm not doing this today. And I really want to give you guys permission not to feel bad about this. And the reason I say that is because I feel like people kind of feel really guilty when they don't do something that's on their to-do list. But the truth of the matter is, show of hands, not that I'm going to be able to see them, but literally show of hands right now, how many of you get all of your work done in a day? I bet you it's not very many of you. Definitely leave me a comment down below in the comment section and let me know. Are you someone who feels like you have a lot left over in the day? Well, then you probably shouldn't feel bad for having to cross things off your list because you're not getting everything done anyway. If you have to choose what items aren't going to get done, I think that puts you in a much more powerful position, productivity and efficiency-wise, when you choose the items you're not going to do so that you can choose the items that you do get done. And that's really where I think the essence of efficiency and productivity come from, really having control over your to-do list. So First thing I want you to do, cross some items off your list, remove tasks from your plate that you just don't want to do or know you're not going to be able to do or you don't think they're going to be the best use of your time. Cross them off your list. That's tip number one. Tip number two is one that I talk about all the time. Batch your work. I think that a major time suck for a lot of people is when you jump from task to task to task to task. So, for example, if you're someone that works in an office and maybe you do a lot of filing, do you go and file one thing at a time and then you go back to your desk and send an email and then you run over and go do a fax and then maybe you go and run a report and then maybe you go run and have a meeting with your boss? Is that the most efficient use of your time, to be jumping from one thing to another? Studies actually show that no, it's not efficient when you're jumping from one task to another. To be more efficient, you really need to be batching your work, which means instead of replying to that one email you've got sitting in your inbox that needs to be replied to right now, wait a little while and spend a good chunk of time replying to more emails so that you don't have to switch from the mentality of doing emails to then switching to the mentality of maybe writing a report. Same thing with those reports. If you have a report to do, maybe wait unless it's absolutely crucial for you to get it done immediately. Wait until you have a few more reports to do so that you're running or you're working on those reports simultaneously or one after another so that you don't have to switch mental gears. And then again, do all your filing at one time. Send all of your faxes at one time for anybody who still uses fax. I know in the corporate world, a lot of people still do. But get into this habit of batching your work. It really is a time saver. Number three, the third tip for efficiency, start with a really easy task. I think that there are such things as primer tasks that you can do in your day. Usually earlier in the day is better. And I think that any sort of really quick wins where you can get something done really quickly, it kind of gives you positive motivation. So I would say the first thing you want to make sure you're doing when you get to work is doing something really routine, really easy, so that you can feel like, I was able to get something done and accomplish something really quickly. I think that really helps you get into the groove of productivity. If you're someone who feels like they dread doing different tasks, this might be a great tip for you, because I think that the confidence, I really think that confidence is really what is in question here when you are approaching your tasks, especially if you have, a lot of mental clutter about what you need to be doing next. Start with an easy task, and as you build up confidence that you're getting things done and doing your job and you know what you're doing and you really own your productivity, then you can jump into more complicated or scary tasks that maybe you've been dreading or avoiding doing. I definitely think starting with an easy task is something that is a great way to start upping your efficiency and productivity at work. Now that leads me to the fourth tip, which is not to avoid the scary tasks. And in fact, I have a really great way to really start tackling your scary tasks at work. Everyone has them, the tasks that you're dreading doing, maybe because they're really complicated or maybe because you don't feel like you are prepared or you don't feel like you have a lot of confidence to work on a certain task or item. Once you've gotten those quick wins under your belt with doing something really easy first, I think it's really important to tackle the big scary task. And the first thing I think you should do is break up the scary task into parts. That's a great way to kind of make a scary task seem less scary. If you have to perhaps arrange an entire PowerPoint presentation for work, that may seem daunting to you. So if you think about it in terms of maybe one task you need to do is run some reports, a second task you might need to do is analyze some information, a third task may be to actually summarize, do some summaries for the information, and then the fourth task is actually building the PowerPoint. Those smaller tasks are less scary. They seem less intimidating than that big scary task of having to put together the PowerPoint presentation. So once you're ready to tackle the big task, break it up. Break it up so that it's not a big scary task anymore and that it becomes more palatable to you and easier for you to work through the bigger or more difficult tasks that come across your desk. And my final productivity tip is another tip that I'm sure if you've been watching me for a while, you've heard me say this before. make a top 3 list. A lot of people ask me about how I prioritize items. I have an entire video, I will link it down below. I believe the title was Focus and GTD, but that video really walks you through my mental process for how I prioritize and how I think about prioritizing items. Now, a point that I really want to make is that the way I prioritize items and the way that you prioritize items may be differently. You might put a different item on the top of your list depending on your circumstance than maybe what I would put on my list. And that doesn't make it wrong. There are a lot of different ways to tackle productivity, but I do think that that video is a great place to start for really understanding the concepts you need to be thinking about and the values you need to be thinking about before you make choices for prioritization and what you really want to be focusing on. So I will link that video down below. However, I think that going back to that idea of prioritization and how I get so much done, using the information in that video, I think it's really key that each and every day we put together a top 3 list. And maybe this isn't every day for every one of you, but I do think that for anyone who has a lot of tasks to accomplish throughout the day, a top 3 list is crucial because although you may end up doing more than 3 things, and for most of us, 3 things, that's nothing, right? Most of us I probably do close to hundreds of things a day, but having that top 3 list really helps you zero in on your priorities. And this is something that I personally use to make sure that I'm getting the most important things in my day done, or at least acknowledging these are the 3 most important things that I want to get done today. Whether or not it gets done or not, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I do 1 thing, sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do all 3. But the point is that having that list, being able to identify what the 3 most important to-dos are on your list are so critical because it really helps you to remain focused on what your big picture goals are. So that is the 5th and final tip from me to you on how to be more efficient. And I hope that these tips really help you. If you have any questions, of course, leave them down in the comment section and I will, of course, get to those and respond to those as soon as I can. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a like. And of course, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until the next video, you guys, bye-bye.